Asus is clearly lost and needs someone to guide it in the right way because it seems that it no longer remembers how to improvise its products and has instead put the gears in reverse, which is degrading its devices and the company itself. In the last few weeks, the company has failed miserably in providing decent BIOS upgrades to its devices, whether you consider the AM5 motherboards or even the gaming routers. This time, the ROG Ally has become its recent victim, thanks to the latest BIOS upgrade, which again didn't do what it was made to. Instead, the new BIOS version 319 came out to be so bad that instead of improving the performance, it nerfed the gaming handheld pretty badly. Looks like the last BIOS version 317 enjoyed only a few weeks of performance uplifts that saw significant performance growth on different power consumptions. Sadly, the new version was not able to increase the gaming performance but instead made things worse. This has been proved by different YouTubers such as Reaper Gaming as well as the Fox, which was also later confirmed by Asus itself. As per Asus, the BIOS 319 was made to improve the gaming performance at lower wattages like 10 watts so that it could compete with Steam Deck. But according to the tests done by the Fox, the performance actually went down on not only 10 watts but also at higher wattages such as 15 watts and 25 watts. Most games he tested saw 5 to 10% lower performance than before, and Cyberpunk 2077 was the worst case scenario where the FPS dropped by up to 20% at 25 watts turbo mode. Similarly, the 1 and 0.2% lows were also impacted negatively, which made the gaming experience less smoother than before. This was seen across all the games he tested, including Batman Arkham Knight and RDR2. The same can be seen in the test by Reaper Gaming, where the Diablo 4 was delivering just 60 to 70 FPS with the latest BIOS version 319. But when it downgraded the BIOS to 317, the frames hovered between 80 to 90 FPS. This was confirmed by Asus itself in a recent video where its employees requested the Ally owners not to upgrade right now.
Again, there is some users are reporting lowered performance on the latest BIOS 319. If you want to hold off on that BIOS update, you can.
However, if you own this device and have upgraded to the latest BIOS, the only way you can downgrade it is to use the Asus Easy Flash utility, which can be quite challenging on this device. Reaper Gaming has shown the complete walkthrough in his video, and I will provide the link to his video down in the description. That said, Asus is currently working on a new firmware and you can expect things to get fixed in a few days. But this does not take away the fact that Asus has become incompetent with its drivers and it has become its hobby to mess up and then proceed to fix it afterwards. Now, before moving on, consider subscribing to the channel if you want to stay updated with the latest hardware news and leaks around the world. It can be quite time consuming to grasp everything at once, but here you will get the most interesting stories delivered in just a few minutes. Next, we have a new world record on the RTX 4090 that almost touched the 4 GHz clock speed. The previous world record on the 4090 overclocking was held by OGS, who was able to achieve 3.84 GHz using liquid nitrogen. This is now overtaken by Sense, who achieved 3.93 GHz using LN2 on Colorful's 4090i GameLab GPU. As you can see on the HW bot, the user achieved a global #1 rank out of all the 80 and 583 submissions with his white-themed Colorful GPU. The point to notice here is that the program used was GPU PI 3.3, which is not an intensive benchmark for a GPU, and staying at a frequency close to 4 GHz might not be achievable in intensive applications or games. Still, this was a big win for Sense because at this frequency, there is a high risk of damaging your GPU permanently. Next, we have motherboard vendors getting ready for Intel's next-gen CPUs. If you have been following this channel, you might remember that I talked about Gigabyte readying its motherboards for Intel's 14th gen CPUs. Gigabyte was the first one to release the BIOS firmware that would support 14th gen CPUs on the LJ1700 socket, and the reason for releasing the BIOS before everyone was due to vulnerabilities its motherboards were having a few weeks ago. However, as 14th gen CPUs are around the corner, it was obvious that more AIBs would join Gigabyte. According to the latest reports, Asus and ASRock have released a new BIOS that would support these next-gen CPUs on their existing LJ1700 motherboards. As established from various reports, we know that Meteor Lake has been cancelled for the desktop, and it is almost guaranteed that these next-gen CPUs are Raptor Lake Refresh that are supposedly coming with improved specs. According to the latest leak on Bilibili.com, Raptor Lake Refresh K and non-K CPUs are going to launch before the end of this year. Specifically, the overclockable chips are going to hit the market in October, followed by non-overclockable chips in the last 2 months. In the same leak, it is mentioned that Intel is also working on Sapphire Rapids refresh for the Xeon W2500 and W3500 processors, which wasn't heard of before. That said, Intel has already made preparations for both mainstream and workstation processors, and we are yet to see what improvements these CPUs will bring to the table. According to some leaks, the Raptor Lake refresh is going to bring even higher clocks than before, but this will come at a cost of higher power consumption, which I have talked about in this video right here. In this video, you will find out the crucial differences between Raptor Lake and its refresh family. And lastly, if you found this video informative, then don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for regular stories like these. Make sure to turn on the notifications to never miss such updates in the future, and I will see you in the next one.